You ready, champ?
I am. I'm excited.
Here we go. All right, so we rolling. So, gotta sneeze. Victoria, for one, I want to say thank you for doing this. You know what I'm saying? We talked about collaboration, a little while ago, the importance of it and whatnot. So, as much if you find value in this, you know what I mean, being able to share your message, share your art, stuff like that, as beneficial as it is to you, is just as beneficial to me. Being able to have somebody that wants to sit down with me and chop it up for like a half hour, an hour, something like that. So I appreciate that. For one, I wanted to say that. Excuse the cold, viewers at home. Not the cold, but my allergies are kicking my butt right now. So excuse
The
the nasal.
allergies.
It's definitely allergies. I never get sick, yo. It randomly just started. Like,
I feel like everybody's sick right now. I
for real?
just got over a cold.
You got over something? Yeah. Boom. I try not to get. I'm not sick though, but
You're
I
healing.
try not to get you sick. You
You're
know what I'm saying?
getting back to your optimal.
And this, only if you feel comfortable. This is how I want to open the show. If you're not comfortable with this, don't worry
I'm here
about
for
it.
it
Right?
all.
Okay.
I don't even know what you're about to say, but I'm here for
I
it.
think you. I think you're gonna be with this. I think you will. Can you open us up this episode with a prayer? However you pray, it doesn't have to be like to God or anything. It can be, but sort of like an affirming word, a prayer, however you want to interpret what that means. Open the show up with a prayer, but can you sort of open us up with some kind of prayer?
Absolutely.
All right,
Can I?
let us know if we should close your eyes, whatever you want us to do. We're rocking with you right now.
Okay. All right. Yes, we can close our eyes. Gratitude for this moment, for this connection, for where this relationship is going to go, for everybody watching who is seeking guidance on how to better themselves and how to grow, and trusting us as resources. Gratitude for the miracles that had to happen for us to be here today. Gratitude for healing from allergies. Gratitude for the time and space. Gratitude for God or spirit or whatever you believe in being here right now with us. And gratitude for us tapping in and talking about how we can improve ourselves and the collective. Amen, Aho, Ashe.
Ashe, that was dope. Appreciate you. It's amazing how much sound you can get out of that. What is that
Oh
made
my
out
God.
of? We'll get into that, but what is that made out of? It's not glass,
Crystal,
right?
quartz,
Crystal. Okay,
yeah.
that's crazy. And then the drum, what is that? Just like stone or something
Suede,
like
yeah.
Suede, okay.
I think the core is like some type of like clay or something
Right.
like that, but it's wrapped in suede.
that? And it has to be. You see how it's like hollow in between. It has to do that to make sound, or not necessarily. It can be any kind of.
I've put water in there before, and it's a slightly different sound, yeah. But I mean, there's sound bowls that are different materials,
Yeah,
glass.
right.
There's like metal ones and things like that.
Okay.
But this one is. There's also sound bowls that are like tuned to a certain like frequency, and they
Right.
focus on a certain like chakra, and this one is a heart chakra.
Okay,
one.
that's
Yeah.
dope. Let me not even talk about because I got so many questions about that. I'm gonna save that for that that portion we talked about, the mind, body, and spirit. But
Okay.
that's dope because I want to know like how do they tune it and what's the you know what I mean the process. We'll talk about all that. So
That's a good question.
let's start with my usual first question, which is your name and where you're from.
My name is Victoria, Lady Vic Art on Instagram, ladyvic.art on Instagram. I am from South Jersey and living in Philly now. Yeah.
What are your muses? Whether it's the sound bowl, painting, what do you do like creatively?
Yeah, so I'm a visual artist, graphic, paint, clothes are some of my mediums. And as far as muses or muse or whatever the proper one is, I love to pull from nature, and I love to just pull from like my journal. Oftentimes, you know, if I'm lacking inspiration or something like that, I'll go and flip through my journal and like find something that's just like, yes, this is the nugget I was looking for. God is another, definitely a huge muse of mine. I'm figuring out and nurturing, putting a lot of energy into nurturing my relationship with God. So a lot of my art is reflective of that.
You know how I told you my name earlier and you said, yo, I love that name, right? It took me a lot of iterations to come to Move by the Message. It was Darkroom Supply Company. It was a photography thing.
I remember
You remember that? Right, exactly. That's what it was. And I still didn't have a clear vision of exactly what I wanted to do, but it took some time, but like I settled or I like Moved by the Message sits well with me. You know what I mean? So Lady Vic, is it Lady Vic or Lady Victoria?
Lady Vic.
Lady Vic, is that the brand name or is that still in development?
You know what's so funny? Just today, I was thinking about like my name, you know, and it's funny because it's like catchy in that like, you know, I might see somebody on the street and be like, "Yo, Lady Vic," and it's like, I don't know, it kind of just defaulted as a thing, but to be honest, there's no real story behind it or anything like that. In college, I switched my name to my Instagram handle to that because I joined the sorority Lambda Theta Alpha, Latin Sorority Incorporated,
Shout out.
and you know, we called ourselves the Ladies, and so I became a sister, and I crossed, and I was hype, and I was like, yeah, I'm Lady Vic now, and I like it, yeah. So it just stuck.
It's a good name. I like it. My sister's nickname is Lady Ba.
Oh, fire!
Maisha is her whole name, but right, Lady Ba is her name. So it reminds me of like my sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were or are in a sorority. Like once you're in a sorority, you are in a sorority,
Yeah.
right? Or not necessarily- so you are, and the name of the sorority is what?
Lambda Theta Alpha, Latin
And
Sorority.
what was that
Incorporated.
like though? That process, because I know there's like I don't want to call it hazing, or there's like a ceremony, or is that just in the movies, like when you get hazed to become a part of like a sorority? What was that like?
Well, every organization is different, and even
Okay.
in every organization, every like chapter is different.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it was dope. It is dope. I am kind of a hermit, so like I tend to like go into my don't talk to people for 6 months and then pop out like, yo, what's up?
Same. Yep. Exactly.
So, you know, but I have that relationship with my sisters, but, you know, they're my sisters. So I've graduated like 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
And we very much so still have that relationship where, like, you know, I just pop out when I pop out. And it's like nothing changed. It's like we're still, you know, 2017, bugging out, being crazy.
Nah, I do the same thing. Like my homies know it too. They be like, "Oh, you in your dark place right now." Not that I'm sad, but like
Yeah.
if you don't hear from me for like 2 months. You know what I mean?
You're
They
tapped
don't.
in.
I am,
You're
right?
tapped in.
Whether that means I'm creating during those 3 months. Sometimes I'm creating, sometimes I'm just quiet. You know what I mean? But then when I hit it back up, they're like, "Oh, you ready to
I'm
you
ready
ready
to
to talk
go.
again, right?" What's your sign?
I'm a Leo.
Okay, which is what month is that? It's like
August.
okay, I got
I'm
you, I
a
got you.
Leo Virgo cusp. So the last day of Leo into Virgo.
Okay, got you, got you. Do you know who you pair like well with as far as friends and stuff like that?
I don't know what astrologically is like my match. However, I will say I love Virgos. I love Virgos. I love Pisces.
My brother's a Pisces.
Yeah.
March 4th.
Those are like and Sag, man. I have a good time. I love Virgos for their emotional intelligence and their just like groundedness. I love the Pisces because they just be like they all represent,
That's
yeah,
what they be
that's
doing.
what they do. Like
Right.
they all represent like a part of me,
Okay.
right? Because I have that in me. I also have that in me. And then the Sag is just like turn up, and I also have that in me too. So it's like they just all, the three of them together.
That's how I was asking because I'm a Sag.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and I don't know who like I get along with the most. I know I get along really well with Libras. My best friend is a Libra. I don't know if that's on the chart, but I just know all the Libras I know. I'm good friends with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, yeah. Not even to get into that, but like I like asking. Some people are just like, oh, it's all the same. Some people don't believe in signs or they think it's just like, oh, you can say that about anybody. But I think there's some truth to signs and personality profiles and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yes. And to people who don't believe in astrology, like it is like, hyped up now for sure. However, we got to think about like I always bring it back to like, man, like before we had TV and like phones and stuff, like our ancestors literally looked up at the sky and studied the stars and said, you know, how does this affect us? How does this affect the land? How does this affect everything? Because it does, right? And it's like we can't sit. Yes, a lot of people speak on astrology and stuff without knowing, much about what they're talking about. But like, as far as like astrology being real, it's like, what? Are you kidding me? Our ancestors spent years and years and years studying this.
That's a great
So,
point. It's a great point, right? No internet, no TV, no
yeah,
radio frequency, anything like that. But they figured a lot out. You know what I'm
so
saying?
smart,
That's a
so
good point.
intelligent.
That'll be my point next time I like talk to somebody and I'm
Yes,
using that. I'll give you like a little kickback or something like that.
yes.
You know what I mean? All right. Right now you're a painter, or that's one of your muses. You paint, right? Was this your trajectory when you were younger? Like you knew you wanted to be an artist of some sort, and you started walking that path, and now it's come to fruition, or was there a series of other things like you used to be a teacher, and then you were this, and then you were that, and then you became a painter? Like how did that happen?
Yeah, I've always been like a little artsy, but as far as creating art, like I never really, as a kid, didn't really tap into that side of me too much. I figured out that I really love painting when I was coming home. I was home for the summer from college. I was like 19, 18. And literally just like bored in the house and figured like, I have a little brother who at the time must have been like 9, 8, young. And I'm like, let me find something for us to do. And so I went to Michael's and I got some canvases, some paint, and I came home and we were just like painting together. And like, you know, I love that. I love that like origin story because it was so just random and so pure. Like, you know, like, let me just find something to do with my little brother.
Right.
And now, you know, not only am I still connected to this part of me that I've discovered through that, but so is he. You know, he's 15 now. And, you know, every once in a while he'll send me like his sketchbook or a painting that he did, and he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does like anime characters and stuff off like the dome, like, and I'm just like, wow, like that's so. It's literally like I'm so proud of him. He's such a cool kid.
That's dope. And you have more of an because I know we talked earlier, like even your style will evolve. But what are you drawn to more? Like abstract? Right now you're doing, text based stuff like that. Like what are you drawn to most right now?
Yeah.
And I know it's a hard question because I'm a creative. I'm like, I don't want to choose one. But if you had to choose something you're more focused on, what would it be?
Yeah. I'm definitely one of those people that's like, don't put me in a box.
I'm crying on the inside just asking. I feel
I
like
know.
a hypocrite. Like, yeah.
I like text-based stuff because it's literal, you know? But I also like I've been doing a lot more graphic design lately than like actually painting and stuff. But I like to, like, I know what I'm trying to say with this piece, you know? But what do you think? I like to create pieces like that, where it's like, it's not literal. And I don't even want to tell you what was going through my mind when I made this, because I want to know what you think, you know? I like that.
What do you, because you mentioned graphic design, that's how I started in like 2002, 2003, something like that. I'm not sure if Photoshop was out then. It may have been. I think it was. But I started with Macromedia Flash. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It was like some kind of Photoshop type program, but that's what got me into the world of graphic design. So what do you use when you do graphic design? Is it Canva? Are you Team Adobe? What do you like to use when you do your pieces?
I use multiple platforms, but mainly Procreate.
Okay, I heard of that.
I love Procreate. People hate on it, but I love it.
Why do they hate on it?
'Cause it's simple.
Okay.
Adobe,
I figured that's what it would be.
yeah, Adobe's fire. I like Adobe too, but for me, I like simple. And yeah, like Adobe can be overwhelming sometimes. So like I'll use Adobe here and there, but
Yeah, no, you ain't lying. So let me ask you this question: what time of the day are you your most creative? Because you probably can create morning, afternoon, and night. But I feel like creatives have special times of the day where they're more, I don't know, introspective or like they create better. My time is actually two times. I should say there's two times of the day I love the most, and then there's a preference of when I create the best work, I should say. Afternoons, I'm shot. Like afternoons is just I don't really know what to do in the afternoon. Like I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not necessarily down or anything, but I just don't create my best work midday. I love the mornings because mornings is just a vibe, right? You get up, you got your routine. I always feel like it's probably less stress in the morning. There's no notifications, no text, no people hitting me up. And I like to get a jump start on my day, right? Before everybody wakes up, right? I have my tea, my meditation, worked out, stuff like that, right? My most creative time is night. That's why when I asked you to be on the pod, I was like, we could film any time of the day. But if we go wait till the sun goes down, I'm way more creative when the sun goes down. I think similar to the morning, less stress, nobody's texting me, nobody's hitting me up, so I could just focus on my thing. But when is your most creative time of the day? Morning, afternoon, or night?
similar, especially in the winter time. I feel like, so like I typically, I want to be one of those people that wake up and go to the gym early in the morning. And I am when it's nice out, and the sun goes up at like 5:30 a.m. or whatever.
Right.
But something about waking up when the sun is down doesn't it doesn't it
That's
doesn't
right.
sit right with me. So that's been a struggle. So I've been going to the gym like kind of in the evening, 6, 7, come home, and then that's when I have my creative spurt where it's just like, all right, I'm pumped up, I could do whatever. And then so probably like late night. But when it's, spring, summer, even fall, when like we have all that daylight, the sun is what gives me so much energy. Right? So like I love waking up and doing what I got to do during the morning. Or I mean, even as long as like I have sunshine peeking through my window or something, or I'm outside creating, like that's when I'm my most creative.
Right. It's amazing how much energy you get from the sun. Like how
Right.
like I need the sun. Like I need to take walks. I need to let the sun hit my skin. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can function without it, but I'm definitely way more motivated and like creative when I had some sun and some fresh air and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just have a greater sense of well-being.
Yeah.
Right.
I really think, how seasonal depression is like a thing, and I get it every year, and I'm just like, damn, like why I get so sad?
Right.
It's
Right.
like
Seriously, right? The struggle is real, yo.
and one time I remember I'm sitting at home, I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm so sad. And I'm like, Vic, what's going on? Like, why are you so sad? And I could not put a pin on it. I was so frustrated and so like lonely and just so like in this like hopeless type of like mood. And I'm just like, what's going on with you? Like, what? And I sat with it for a little bit and I just started cracking up because I'm just like, nothing's wrong with you. Like, nothing happened. Nothing, like you're good. You're just sad. And the reason that you're sad, there's a million different reasons why you could be sad. But like, chill out. Like, it's okay. Like, you have been in the house. I work from home too. So it's like you haven't left the house in like 4 days. Right. Go take a walk and see how you feel, And I really think that plays a huge role, So yeah, the sun is everything, and earth, being able to take a walk outside or like put your feet in some grass, like you can do that when it's cold. I'm making excuses, right? But
that's an acceptable excuse. Like, cold, boy. I don't be doing the cold like that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll take 2 or 3 days and just be working from home. I'm like, bro, I got to get out with the house. Even that's interesting though, because I'm like, the human condition is so sensitive. Complex, right? Because I'm like, bro, what's wrong? Ain't looking around, it's like nothing is wrong. I got a place. I'm healthy. I work. I'm creating what I want to create. But some days I'm just great. Not externally, like I'm always like, I'm a Sag, right? So I'm always just like smiling and stuff like that, but sometimes I just feel gray on the inside.
That's why I started laughing at myself. Mm-hmm. I'm like, girl, you are sitting on a couch in a heated apartment. You have food in the fridge. What are you sad about? Mind you, I got cousins and family
with some real situations.
In real situations. And also, like I literally have family today, 2023, that like live without plumbing, in Honduras, Dominican Republic. They don't have plumbing or, electricity every day, or it goes out or whatever. I'm just like, yo, cut it out. I'm gonna follow a lot of people. Sometimes I take breaks from taking in so much advice from outside voices. That is part of my nature as well, because, I'm a Sag, which means, one of the things it means is that I'm like a learner. I'm a seeker of
knowledge and truth and stuff like that. So I listen to a podcast or read books and self-development and all that stuff. And one of the dudes I listen to, I don't know if you ever heard of Wim Hof, the
Yep.
Wim Hof method. You know what I mean? So I know I should give that a shot. I gotta like warm up to it. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? But I want to get. Have you done it before at
I
all?
have. Yeah, I've done the plunge
Have you
before.
felt any any changes, or did it affect? Obviously, it takes multiple times, but like, did you feel anything, any benefit from that?
It's so funny. I was contemplating if I want to say it or not, but I'm gonna say it
Okay.
and embarrass myself. But there's a video out there. I went on a retreat to Mexico last summer, and it was a diosa retreat. So like it was all women. We were tapping into just like what it means to be in our divine femininity, right? And just like really exposing how powerful we are, right? And so one of the things that we did was the ice bath plunge. And they just put out the video, like recapping that part of the retreat. And I was like, so just like taken back and just so like really just like enjoying watching the video, because it brought me back to being, you know, with these girls and these women, and like you know, just the experiences that we got to share with one another. And it was so funny because they had like this inspirational song in the background. Then you see everybody like in the bath and they're just like breathing, which is what you're supposed to do. That's the whole trick of it, is
Right.
you just gotta breathe. So you just like, right? And then there's a clip where it goes to me and I'm like, and it's so funny because like, even though I was like embarrassed because I looked crazy, but like it was also just like, you know, still at the end of it, the guy is like, what you guys did is like not normal. Like it was like a group of like 16 of us, 16 women, and nobody backed out. Nobody jumped out and said, I'm not doing it. Nobody, like, everybody took it like a champ. Even me, like,
Right,
you know,
did it right.
I
Still got through it.
still stuck it out. And so I'm proud of that. And I think, you know, it's a really cool experience because it's really something that shows you mind over matter is really a thing, you know, even as uncomfortable as it is. Like, you can tell your body, like, you're going to survive. You're not in danger. You're good. Listen to me. Trust me. And that's the whole trick of it. That's really the whole practice of it.
100%. I even think that's why exercise is important, because you sort of get those mini trainings, however often you exercise, of you telling your body what to do or telling your mind what to
Right.
do. So, and it works either way. You build momentum either way. So if you don't exercise, you sort of feel like, I don't want to say a liar, but you don't believe yourself as much. Like if you quit things, it's easier to quit the next time, right? If you don't exercise, it's easier to like talk yourself out of it. But if you exercise and you get into the habit of training daily, that spills over into like everything you do, right? You get up at a certain time because you said so. You know what I'm saying? Or like whatever it is, because you said so. That's why I think
Right.
exercise is so important. Let me ask you this, right? Since you know Wim Hof, right? Or you know, the ice bath and stuff like that. You went on this. It was a retreat, you said, with the women. There's this thing called ayahuasca. You know what that is?
Absolutely.
Have you done it?
I did an ayahuasca and hape blend, but not the full ayahuasca thing. I will. Yeah.
Same.
I am I'm a huge fan of plant medicine, and I'm a huge advocate for plant medicine because I am walking proof of what, you know, how it can transform your mind, you know, and how it can open you up to parts of you that you never knew existed within you, right? And although I haven't done the ayahuasca ceremony yet, I do routinely do a plant, medicine ceremony with myself with mushrooms. And, it's completely changed my life. Like, 2021 was the first time that I did it. And progressively since then, I've just realized, like, every time I learn something new, but I realized that the biggest thing that I realized is that, like, how you said, you get to tell your body what to do, right? And I feel like the biggest takeaway that I've gotten from working with plant medicine is that, like, this body is a tool. It's a shell. It's just, it's just my vehicle in this life, right? But, like, what's actually calling the shots, there's two things in my body calling the shots. There's my ego, and then there's me. That doesn't have, my ego is Victoria. It's, the one that cares what people think of her. It's the one that, wants to be perceived a certain way. And then there's me that doesn't have a name. It's just the part that's connected to God, the part that's connected to you, the part that's the one that I when I practice my mindfulness, and when I practice my, like, tapping in, like, I get to choose to tap into her and say, like, no, you take a back seat. You're safe. We're good. And this one is in control, and that's literally plant medicine. Plant medicine did that for me.
That's why I feel like meditation, just like plain meditation, whether it's like, with any kind of substance or whatever. I love it because it gives me, like, they call it, like, you develop, like, your third eye or whatever, right? And I always, when I'm trying to explain it to people, I'm always like, meditation gives you like 10 seconds of space to, like, choose how you want to react to whatever. So it's a difference. It's a difference of, let's say it's like a theater. It's the example I always use. There's a theater, right? And there's, like, actors on the stage, right? When I'm not meditating, I'm like one of the actors, right? And there's, like, somebody else, another actor, right? Whether it's like, an actor could be anything. It could be a person. It could be a situation, right? But when I interact with that person or that thing, I'm reactionary to it. So if the person says something bad to me, I'm, like, reacting to it, right? Ego, right? Immediately I'm reacting how I'm supposed to react. But when you meditate, you get those, like, 15 seconds. And to me, those 15 seconds makes me more of a person in the audience watching the two actors.
Exactly.
So I'm like, oh, let me see how he's going to react. He being me, you know what I mean? Let me see how he's going to react to what that actor said. And, like, those 15 seconds can be, like, life-changing. Because you're just like, oh, I'm going to react this way instead of that way. It just makes you less reactionary. That's one of the things it does, but I think that's one of my most favorite parts about when I'm actually practicing meditation is just those 15 seconds of space to decide how I want to react.
Absolutely. And, that is something that I've started to practice when I do my mushroom, like, ceremonies. I do them by myself now, and I used to do them with people, but I find there's so much more. I get so much more out of it when I'm just by myself, and I do that, right? That mental exercise of, like, all right, Vic, I'm gonna take a back seat. I'm going to let you do and say and do whatever you want to do and be however you want to be. I'm going to just take a back seat and observe. you know. And yeah, I mean it's really helpful in that like I get to observe ego, Victoria, and I get to just have empathy for her and I get to say like, oh, you know, you wanted to do that or you said that or you did that and I understand why. I get to like it's almost like you get to parent yourself. You know what
I
I
like that.
mean? And I love that. I love practicing that.
If you were a superhero, right? What would your superhero name be, and what would your superhero power be?
It would obviously be Lady Vic.
Okay, easy peasy.
That's
Okay,
actually a superhero.
it is.
I
Okay.
had Googled it and realized, yeah, she's like a superhero type
What
thing.
What does she do?
No, I don't know. But in my superhero universe, I would be a super healer, you know? Like they just chopped down this tree, but I could like put my hand on it and it just grows back and you know. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's noble of you. That's nice. So you would consider yourself an empath.
I do consider myself an empath and I think everybody is an empath technically. You know, we're all connected whether you know you believe in that spiritual theory or not. In my belief, we're all connected. And you know, that connection is why we call ourselves, you know, empath and we feel affected when people are feeling certain feelings and we could feel that, you know what I mean? Yeah, and some people, you know, some people that side of them, that gift, that superpower is so deeply buried that, you know, there's a disconnection to that, but I think we're all empaths.
True, I agree. I agree. All right, now, what are you listening to? Like, whether it's like when you're creating your art. Well, I guess let's do that specifically because I mean, it could be the same thing when you work out, when you meditate or whatever. But when you create, when you're painting, right? What's on your soundtrack? Give me like three things that's on your playlist.
I love music, but I have like the same three songs on rotation every day. It's really crazy. Um, what is it? Durand and the it's not even that crazy. I'm just so bad with names. Durand and the implications or the something something, but it's like this real old timey type of like vibey type of band and I love their music. So that's a creative it's a creative song. I'm all up on this
You
mic.
good, you good.
Okay. Another one is a Colombian singer. Her name is Lido Pimiento or Pimienta. I love her music. She's super tapped in for sure. Um, and yeah, Chris Patrick is what I was listening to on repeat on my way here, so I gotta shout him out too. He's like a R&B type of
Okay.
vibe.
Is that new school or like it's
New
older
school.
music or okay?
Yeah.
Do you appreciate older music though? Like, because I know a lot of people, regardless of the decade they were born in, there's always like a universal respect for like the '60s and the '70s, like that sound. Do you like that
Yes.
time too? Right? I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. Like the music was great. I feel like that was a time, but where like people were sort I don't want to say rebelling, but like coming into their own. But I feel like the '70s was like liberating, right? That's when we had the Woodstock, shrooms, acid, LSD. You know what I mean? And again, going back to the music, I just feel like the '60s and the '70s were like a special time. So when I hear like that music, it just takes me back to that time.
Yeah, I actually have a good amount of Louis Armstrong on
Okay.
my
Yeah, yeah.
playlist. So even further back, it's like,
Exactly.
but I appreciate it because it's such a simple time and such simple music, but it's like so beautiful. Like he could be talking about just like dancing with a woman. He has a song, I think it's called Cheek to Cheek or something like that. And it's like he's literally just talking about just dancing with this woman, but like the way that he describes how he's feeling, you know, how in love he is, how beautiful she is. Like I'm just like, man, that's beautiful. That's such a beautiful perspective on something as simple as dancing.
Louis was a vibe for sure. I think those are some of the best songs when it's like what, not even just songs, art period, or like films, songs, when it's a simple concept, but you make a whole thing out of it. Like Friday, for example. I ain't mean to go to like a hood movie, but like, I like one day movies where it's like everything happens in this afternoon.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Simple concept. My favorite director, and excuse me if people get because I know he's been in some controversy and stuff like that. But my favorite director of all time, and I have a few, is Quentin Tarantino. Right?
I knew you were gonna say that.
And of course you did. Like I think dude is a film genius because he takes simple concepts, but he makes this whole world out of them. In every one of his movies, it's simple. His first movie was a bank heist, Reservoir Dogs. They were just in one room the whole movie, right? It was like a couple scenes where he showed piece of the bank robbery or them running, but like it was just one room. In each one of his movies has a simple theme. Kill Bill was just a revenge story. That was it, revenge. Django was his western, as he calls it. You know what I mean? Which, all right, Inglourious Bastard was his. I forget what he called it, but like each movie is just a simple concept that he puts his whole spin on. I feel like his dialogue is some of the greatest because it sounds real. It doesn't sound like actor talk, if that makes sense.
I can't stand that.
Right? Right? And it'd just be regular stuff he's talking about. So I feel like he's just the GOAT to me, film director. For one, also because he really puts his stamp on his pieces. Like, I love Scorsese. I love Spielberg. Like, directors like that. Spike Lee. But like, I feel like Spike Lee and Quentin, it's almost a little, I don't know if you could say avant-garde or it's a little surreal, which I love because it's like, why not? Like, why not do that? Spike Lee, I don't know if you know who Spike Lee is, but how one of his signature pieces is he'll have them like floating down the street, even though they're walking, but I guess he got them on some kind of like skate thing or some kind of like wagon or something like that. And I love that because that's just a part of his signature. That's how he's articulating this emotion from this actor. Quentin has his things that he does. You know what I'm saying? So I always appreciate, and I think that made me, when I started putting art out into the world, I was like, I'm not focused on being like technically good. I just want to have a style. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the most important thing as a creative, is like have a style. When people be like, oh, that's Lady Vic. That's like the best work you can put out there. When people like, oh, that's her work. I notice her nuances in her work. You know what I'm saying?
That's just her. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to
Exactly.
be. We do. Well, let me just say, I've never seen a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Okay,
ever.
okay.
It's really sad. I haven't.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give you some homework.
Give me some. Yeah, give me some
For
homework.
sure, I got you.
But as far as like, originality, I think, yes, that's the beautiful thing about creating anything. I think we're all empaths and we're all artists. If your thing is cooking, that's art. If your thing is cleaning, the way you do it is art. Why? Because nobody can do it the way that you do it.
Right.
Even if, you have me wipe this table down with the same materials that you used, the same, you teach me the same technique and everything, like I'm not going to be able to do it the way you do it. Like I'm not. So it's like, I think that is the coolest thing about creating anything, is just like nobody, even if they try to, can do it the way that you do it.
That's facts, though. That's facts. Let me ask you this, because we talking about Quentin and stuff like that. Who do you draw inspiration from? Like whether it's like another painter you like or any other muse that you have, like who inspires you?
That is a good question.
Let me say inspires and or influences.
There's actually a local rapper. The first one that comes to my mind is Who Am I? Have you ever heard of him? Yeah. So, I mean, his whole brand is create yourself so the world doesn't. And I like that because it's connected to everything we're talking about here, you know. It even is connected to, like, you know, how we were talking earlier about the mushrooms, you know, and how you can separate yourself, capital S, to your ego.
Right.
Ego wants to be accepted by everybody. Yourself doesn't care for that because it's like, it's just bigger picture, you know, bigger picture thinking. And so I love that. I love that perspective. It's something, and you know, that idea, that purpose driven, mission driven, you know, like that bottom line is reflected in every aspect of what he creates, you know, from the clothing to the music to the events. And so I definitely pull inspiration from that because it's like, yeah, I want whatever I stand for to be, I want you to know what I'm about in anything that I'm involved in. Any space that I'm not about to hop on a podcast talking about crypto. Like,
right.
I mean, I could find a way to tie it back to to God. I will find a way, but you know, I just want that to be, you know, when people reach out to me to work with me or want to buy a piece or, you know, just see me walking down the street, just know what I'm about, you know. I like that. Kanye is another one just because I pull inspiration from him. I pull inspiration from people who are unapologetically them. You know, people who don't let the fear of like, oh, not everybody's gonna agree with me or someone might have something to say. Because that's a thought that I have often, is like, you know, I want to speak my truth and I want to be more vulnerable and I want to be more open and I want to talk about what I want to talk about. But then I also often get insecure about just like, I don't want people to be like, here she go again.
Right. You don't want to step on toes and stuff like that.
Not even stepping on toes, but just like annoying people. Like, here she go again talking about God. Here she go. She always got to make something, you know, it's not that deep. And it's like that. I don't know why that's so triggering to me, but it is triggering. And so when I see people who are unapologetically them, like, fuck who has something to say and fuck if you are offended or whatever, like, it's just like, man, like,
That's inspirational. And I think most people admire people like that. Whether you like that person or not, you wish you could you wish you could be that brave. You know what I mean? Even if you don't like that person, like that's a trait that everybody wishes they had, that confidence to just be like I want to, you know, be this or say that, you know what I mean? And which is why I guess certain people become certain people, because if you had no inhibitions, like imagine how much you could like get done, or if it was just like, I don't care, I'm gonna just go out there, put the work out like this. wear this today, say that, and if you had no, if you weren't such an empath or whatever, I'm talking about people, not just you, but like you just wouldn't care as much, and I think you would just be more active in like your thing.
Yeah, and I think I think what I'm coming to learn is that like purpose is purpose, and what if this ego-driven trigger or insecurity or feeling of like, I don't want them to, this fear, right? What if that is just an obstacle to, like, the obstacle to you fulfilling your purpose? And how grand and how fulfilling would it be for you to like overcome that obstacle and reach that of like, I'm firm, I'm standing strong on my purpose, I'm doing it, and all I had to do was just get rid of this fear of what people think of me.
Yep. It's crazy. It's funny even watching the kids because there's middle schoolers and high schoolers here, and it's funny watching them and their little insecurities and things like that. I'm older now, but I remember, when I was younger, the little insecurities you would have and how some of them try to be brave or some of them try to front. Like I used to do that when I was your age. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You front about stuff. But it's interesting, being an older dude and watching kids go through the human experience at that point in their lives. You know what I mean? With the insecurities and all that. Because it's like, damn, y'all really care about what your other little high school friends think about you, right? But I can't even knock them because not that I cared when I was in high school. Like I was always like, I could mix it up with everybody. Like I wasn't like an outsider or I wasn't like the most popular kid, but I can like float between whatever crew. But there's a part of you who cares. You cared about what other people, or you just didn't want to look like a herb. You know what I mean? You didn't want to look uncool.
It's ego.
It's 100% ego. And it's funny just watching them like develop their little egos now, or seeing how how their egos just affect their day to day.
How their ego is in the driver's seat, and we could learn so much from kids. I love being around kids, because it goes back to what we were talking about with, Louis Armstrong and how simple the music is, right? The way kids think, especially the younger ones, right? I used to work heavy with third graders, and I remember this one time I had a bad day, and I come into work or whatever, I'm having a bad day, and I had asked this one student like to do something so simple, and she was giving me the hardest time. I'm like, please, can you just do this? And she was like, no. And was giving me all this attitude and just like making a whole scene in front of everybody. I'm like, all right, just go to my supervisor. I was like, yeah, just go to Miss Kim. So again, she refuses, and then I'm like, please get out of the classroom and go to Miss Kim. And we're just going back and forth, and then finally, like, she leaves or whatever. And so I'm in the class, and I'm just like, thank God, whatever. And I'm sitting with this girl. Her name was Kimura. Such a wise. I think about her all the time. She was so wise. Yeah. Third grade, and she's like, they would call me Miss Vic. Miss Vic, why were you just going back and forth with that little girl? And I was like, well, because she wasn't listening. And she was like, but you realize, like, you kept going and nothing changed, right? And I was like, yes, but she wasn't listening. And she just looked at me like, okay, crazy lady, like you just gonna keep going back and forth with a third grader, like, and I just started cracking up because I'm just like, damn, like, why this little girl just like
She just read
really,
you.
really just teach me something? Like, you kept trying, it was not working, and you were irritated because your own stuff. You came into work irritated and you approached the situation in an irritated tone. She wasn't liking your tone, and so she kept going back, and you kept going. Like, what? What did you expect to happen?
That's facts that you can learn a ton from kids, yo. A ton.
Yes.
We did a podcast last month, the first quadrat. We call it the Quadcast. The first podcast last month, and we do close and circle at the end of the day. And that was one thing that I mentioned in the pod. I was like, because at the end of the day, we do apologies, we do shout outs, stuff like that. And then we do a minute of silence. And I was like, I feel like parents can benefit from what their kids do at the end of the day too. Not just like, oh, it's cute, Johnny. Like, yo, meditate and stuff like that in school. I'm like, parents can learn a thing or two from, what their kids experience in schools and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying?
So much, for sure.
We're gonna move into a bit of the mind, body, and spirit practices. All right.
Let's do it.
Here we go. So, what rituals do you exercise to keep you feeling like grounded? Is it exercise? Is it meditation? You talked about the mushroom ceremony, did you call it? Right, mushroom ceremony. What do you do to sort of help keep yourself balanced and grounded?
Right now it's exercise. And I honor the different seasons that I go through. Right now I'm in a funk and I acknowledge it. So like finding the motivation to journal every day and meditate every day, and I'm not in a space where like I feel super motivated to do that. And I honor it, right? Going to the gym is something I'm able to do every day, or not every day. I go like 4 or 5 times a week, but that's something I can find the motivation to pull myself to do and have that be my me time. And so I give myself that. In the summertime, I like to take walks. I like to run outside, connect with nature, take hikes and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too. I love to run. And think I said that on my live the other day. I was like, it's not that you have to be older to realize this, but the more life you live, you can sort of you figure out your manual. And I was like, yeah, it's just seasonal. Like some see this a part of like the year or the month where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna run now, or like I want to do
Right.
jujitsu or something like
Right.
that. Right now, I ain't been doing anything. And that's the season I'm in, right?
Exactly. Honor it. Just like
exactly.
I know myself, and I know what is gonna get me through the day.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. Do you meditate? Like straight up, whether it's transcendental, or do you like have a meditation practice?
Yes. So I have an altar in my living room in front of a window, and with my, I have little trinkets and stuff like that. So like, again, like I just listen to my body and like, what do you need to do right now? So like, sometimes I pull an oracle card. Sometimes I will use my sound bowl. Sometimes I will journal. Sometimes I'll just sit there in silence, and those are all forms of meditation for me. Sometimes I take a shower and I just like meditate in the shower. But again, like I know myself, and I know sitting in silence and like that isn't something that is sustainable for me in the way my brain works right now. Right. Hopefully, or maybe if it's in the cards for me in the future, whatever. But like, I just flow. But I do take the time to try to like sit with myself in some way, shape, or form.
I do the same thing. Like take creative license on how I'm gonna meditate that day, depending on how I'm feeling. So even if there's like a certain technique that you're supposed to do, if I want to listen to music while I do that, then I'm gonna listen to music.
Yes.
Some days I won't. You know what I mean? But I think that right. I just don't have to. It don't have to be like by the book. You can figure out. You know what the objective is, which is, I think, is to be present, right? Whatever your meditation is, whether it's walking meditation, from running, exercising, whatever, or sitting down doing transcendental, whether it's mantra basis, all so you feel more present. I said this on my live the other night too. It was like a lot of the things that we do is to feel more present, whether it's a good vehicle or a perceivably negative vehicle. So meditation and exercise is a good vehicle is to feel present. But so is, and I'm just being extreme with this, so is smoking crack, if that makes sense, right? Or smoking weed or drinking is so you feel more present, right? You sort of melt away your inhibition. Now, those aren't sustainable vehicles because, for every action is a reaction, but I feel like everybody is just chasing like presence or feeling comfortable in their seat, as Russell Simmons says. Like that's what meditation does. It helps you feel comfortable in your seat. You know what I'm saying? But take creative. Like I guess the lesson would be to do it how you want to do it. Like get a little template, right? If you need a template, Google how you do this, how you do that. But you can put your own flavor into the meditation.
I love what you said. You know the objective. How you get to the objective is completely unique to you.
Right.
Right. So I love that.
That's what's
that
up.
in my journal.
A little cute question. Burpees or push-ups?
Push-ups because I could do them now. Okay, hold up.
The guns. That's a dope tat too. Teach piece. That's dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, what do you have if you can break down your tats?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the ones you can break down. You know what I'm saying? That's a dope tat though.
Tats. So I have Ganesh, which is a Hindu lord. This was like my first spiritual one at like 18.
Okay.
Swore I knew what I was talking about.
That's dope.
I have Buddha. Ooh, shoot.
You good. Good
I
catch.
have Buddha over here. This was a cover up, but literally one of my favorite tattoos.
That's fly.
I have.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah. What is that? Like, I know it's a more artistic version of that. What is that though? Like that sign?
So it is a symbol of protection in Egyptian culture. And yeah, it is a more artistic spin on it. But again, like I love to honor, our ancestors. And I love to acknowledge, like, and learn about, like, the different things that, were from their time here, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm so into religion, I consider myself spiritual, but, like, I love to learn about different religions because it's literally what influenced and molded the life that the world that we have today. So, yeah, I'm a religion nerd.
Same. I consider myself spiritual. Okay, yeah, my fault. I interrupted you. Was that the last tat? That you can, break down. We don't want to have you doing it for the gram. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you could tell us about it.
Okay,
yeah. You can tell us about it.
I tattooed myself. I have an ankh on my knee.
Okay.
That was my first tattoo myself, and I plan to do more.
You liked it the way it turned out, the way you did yourself.
I got infected, but
it happens.
It happens. Thank you. Thank you.
You move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
That's funny.
And it was funny because me and my two friends, my roommates at the time, they let me tattoo the same thing on them.
Okay.
All of ours got infected.
You were confident. Oh,
they look beautiful. They're super
okay.
clean. So I know I got a steady hand.
Got the job done.
You know,
That's
I
dope.
just gotta learn precautions better, which was
Yeah.
super dangerous. Don't do that at home.
No, no, no. Now we know. You live and you learn.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What YouTube channels, podcasts, or books are you like would you recommend? Or are you not even what you recommend? What's in your rotation or what has been in your rotation?
Great question. Okay. After School on YouTube is a great, great resource for, and it's After School spelled with a K, SKOOL. It's a great resource for different perspectives, you know, and science and historical proof behind these different perspectives for you to make your own conclusions, but it's really good for that. I love Jay Shetty's Life on Purpose.
Facts.
Or On Purpose with Jay Shetty. I love Stuff You Should Know. I'm a super dork for like fun facts and stuff like that. And that podcast is literally just like they'll go into like the history of tea and explain all stuff you don't really ever will need to know, but
Right.
like it's
But
just
now that you're talking about it,
interesting.
right.
Books. Oh, I'm reading right now Be Not Afraid of Love. And it is about a girl who has experienced, you know, an abusive relationship. And she's kind of just walking us through like the different steps to her healing through that.
This is fiction or is
This is real.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got you.
Yeah, she's also like around my age, so it's like and I've experienced very similar experiences to her. So like it's really an emotional and like I feel so connected to her through this book. I think her name is Mimi Zhao. And yeah. Oh, I'm also listening to the audiobook Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. I kind of just started it, so I'm not going to speak too much on it, but I love Queen Afua. I've seen her speak down in Florida, and, you know, she is just such a powerful, powerful, powerful woman. And, you know, I love the intention behind her knowing that she's powerful and like saying like, all right, I need to spread this health, this wealth with everyone. And so I love her. I love her.
You already answered this earlier, but what's your sign?
So I'm a Leo sun with a Sag moon and a Cancer rising.
And are you true to, like, are you a true Leo? Like, I'm a Sag, and every time I read something about a Sag, I'm like, damn, that's me, right? Or are you?
Yes, I am. However, I also think it's important, you know, when we look at charts, to acknowledge the different, like you can be an evolved Sag, you know? And so I do relate a lot to Leo stereotypes of being very ego driven and like loving attention and all that stuff and only thinking about themselves and but I've also evolved and learned through life, you know, to be a little bit more in control of the things that like because everything and anything could be considered good or bad, you know. And I love, you know, the power that comes with, you know, the inner power that comes with being like a Leo, a fire sign, the passion.
So Leo is a fire sign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. And I also acknowledge and honor and love the bad side, the you know, dark side or whatever. And I've learned to harness that energy and just learn from it, you know? So I'm a true Leo for sure.
Shout out to Leos.
Yes.
And then the last part in this section, right? what's like your perfect or like your most optimal morning routine, if you have one, or if we talked about seasons a minute ago. If you're in the season of having a morning routine, because I have one too, but I'm not always in season. So when you're in season, what's like your most optimal morning routine? What does that look like?
I'm definitely not in season right now. I'm
Okay.
waking up at like 9 a.m.
Exactly. Right. Right.
rolling out of bed, you know. But when I'm in my prime, I'll wake up like 6:30, you know, and I'll go for a run. Nothing too crazy, like, but there's like some hills by my house, so I'll run those hills, come home, shower, you know, start my work day, and when I'm really, really on it, I do practice intermittent fasting. So like I'll do like, you know, water or tea up until like 12 p.m. and then I have breakfast. But yeah, I'm not practicing none of that right now. To be honest, I'm not even gonna lie.
Same. Yo, tell me I got like at least. All right, yo, I'm gonna make that the last
Okay.
part of this because I love intermittent fasting. I feel like it's like the easiest way to eat. It's the least stressful, especially when you do intermittent fasting and are vegan. I just feel like it's a cheat code to be healthier.
Yeah,
like, right?
yeah.
So, can you talk about your experience with intermittent fasting, like how it benefits you and how it can benefit other people?
Yeah, so I'm a huge advocate for learning your body and what's right for your body, right? And what I've learned from my body, I go to the gym 4 or 5 times a week. However, my work and like my regular day to day is very sedentary. And so I don't need a lot of food because I look at food as energy, right? I don't need a lot of energy if I'm not exuding a lot of energy is what I've been experimenting with now. So like how much food do I need to eat if I'm sitting down 9 hours out of the day? You know what I mean? Do I need to eat 3, 4 times a day? No. You know, so intermittent fasting helps me to regulate that and like really just listen to my body. Like, are you eating because you're hungry, or are you eating because you want to taste good stuff? Because that's valid too. Are you eating because you're bored? Are you eating because you're emotional? Intermittent fasting helps to just like, you know, take that 15 seconds extra to be like, all right, what is it that I'm feeling?
Exactly. Yep.
You know, so.
There's a doctor. I don't know his name. I think he's like Indian or something like that. Excuse me. I've been a strength and conditioning coach for almost 20 years, right? And so when I was listening to him, I felt what he was saying. He was basically saying that when people come to him for like a new diet or they want to lose weight, he used to give them like the generic, you know, eat this, eat that, right? It was always like a template, like you can try this diet or try that diet. But then he was like, he started, once he realized the power of it, he tells all of his clients they should do intermittent fasting because obviously there's biological benefits to it. But he was like, it gives you you become more introspective. It's not just about, you know, eat eggs for breakfast, eat this for lunch, eat, you know, low carbs for dinner, right? Because you can still eat all that and not be dealing with your issues or what's really bothering you or what's making you eat, like you just said. Is it like I'm bored or this, that, and the other? So he was like, when he tells his clients to intermittent fast, you got to sit with yourself because you don't have that vice to distract yourself. Not saying like intermittent fasting, like you running from something, but like, I mean, I'm not saying because you eat, you're running from something, but a lot of times you're not just overeating because you're hungry. It's like you're bored or stressed, sad. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, shout out to that. I got to find his name, but shout out to that doctor for, you know, evolving. Because in a lot of medicine, they just do what they're told or say what they're told. You know what I'm saying? So I like when people in the medical field are sort of having their own evolution too. Like I don't want to just say what the textbook told me to say. Let me give people what really works. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And how many times, you know, my perspective, the reason why I'm always saying, tap in with yourself and experiment with yourself and see what works for you is because, and I believe in the power of, doctors and things like that. But also just a lot of this, how many times have we in history, discovered, oh, the surgery that we have been performing, it actually it doesn't do anything. Or this medicine, it's actually causing more harm than it is good. So yeah, I'm just I trust you guys to an extent, but also I trust myself more.
Right.
So I'm gonna just do my little experiments and see what works for me and listen to what you guys have to say, but not take it, as the end all be all.
Right. When's the last time you had your picture taken?
Pretty recently, like a month or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
For?
My friend is a music artist, and he was using my face for his cover art.
Okay. That's a dope flex. Who's the artist?
Cam De La.
Okay.
Do you know him?
Nah, what's he do?
He's like a R&B type singer, producer, graphic artist. Yeah.
Rap or R&B? Talking about you.
Oh, me?
Preference, if you had to choose
R&B.
one. Oh, real? Okay.
I love rap, but it's got to be a mood.
Let me ask you this. How old are you?
26.
So my younger brother's 10 years younger than me. My younger sister's 12 years younger. But they also I was born in '81. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear rap now, I feel like the '90s was like the greatest rap era. You know what I mean? Not that I knock rappers now. Well, I do knock a lot of nonsense now. Even the stuff I grew up listening to.
Yeah.
When you become more aware and stuff like that, you're like, yo, this is some bullshit,
We're
man.
consuming it, and so it's definitely has an effect on us.
You know what I'm saying? My sister and them even said that, a lot of the music they make nowadays, not even talking about the message and stuff like that, that too, but they were just the quality just isn't what it was in the 90s. You being 26, how you feel about that? Do you feel like they put out better quality now, or is it more of a template now? And how you feel about that?
I feel like I like older rap because it's more of an authentic thought, you know?
Yep.
Even if it's a trash message, it's that's your thought, your perspective.
Right.
Right? I feel like today, and I'm friends with a lot of musicians.
Okay.
And even then, it gives me perspective.
Let me have you walk this way a little bit. Yep, go ahead.
Do you want me to pose or?
No, you good. You
Okay.
doing exactly what you supposed to be doing.
I feel like even now, I'm friends with a lot of musicians, and I'll talk to them about what inspired this song, or why do you say that? You don't even live that life.
Right.
You're a good guy. Why are you talking about exploiting women like that?
Right.
And it's
and you'll actually have that conversation.
I'll actually have that conversation, and it'll be
dope. Let me have you take a half a step back.
Oh yeah.
Yep, you good.
It'll be this is what sells, or this is what.
That's always what it is.
Yeah, and it's just to me, it's but the only reason it sells is because that's what everybody's producing,
Yep.
So if you were to make something fire that actually has a nice message, or but you find a way to make it make sense,
Right.
then right there we change what sells.
Just like that.
Right.
Right.
From the sexual exploitation to the violence to the drugs and alcohol.
It's a template. You can't tell me before I listen to your song, talking about your average Joe Schmo rapper, that I can't sum up all the content in a few sentences.
Yep.
You just named them.
Yep.
Sexual irresponsibility, financial irresponsibility, just be disrespectful, make sure you don't fuck with them niggas. It'd be it's the same shit, my man.
And now we got women, entering the rap scene, and it's on the receiving end, willingly receiving that disrespect. You know, I heard this one song, Megan Thee Stallion, actually,
Right.
and I love her. She's beautiful.
Right.
Like, my God. But, you know, she had a song where she was saying, like, you know, he bought me a bag and it was so expensive. My pussy came with it, pretty much. And I'm like,
Right. She's like, oh, it is what it is, and that's
What?
cool. Right, exactly.
why would you say that? Admittedly, like, come on.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. It's all really unfortunate.
This will be the last one right here. Yep, I'm gonna have you look right at the lens. A lot. This will be the last one. All right, dope. 3, 2, 1. Right.
Synergy.
I know that was the best one, right? Boom. So I wanted to have this portion of the pod where I think people will learn through the whole pod, but I wanted to have a dedicated portion of the pod where it's like, let's actually get like some lessons and like take out a notepad and a pen and jot down some notes. So this would be the first official mini class on the pod.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
okay.
Exactly.
What an
So
honor.
I think we talked a minute ago, and I think you said we determined that the lesson will be how to find your purpose.
How to
and
find and stay on purpose.
how to find and stay on purpose. So with that being said, Lady Vic, can you teach us how to find and stay on purpose?
Don't mind if I do.
Boom.
All right. So, how to find and stay on purpose. And just to give some background information, this is derived from a journal entry that I had wrote, kind of just reminding myself who I am and what I'm here to do, which I have to do often, which is why it's how to find and stay on purpose, right? And I feel like the first step to creating a strong foundation goes back to what we were talking about, you know, being able to decipher who is speaking, you know, when it's your ego and your higher self. So being able to decipher those two voices, because a lot of the times, you know, we can decide, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, you know. Why? Because ego. I wanted everyone to be like, oh my God, look how talented and pretty and amazing she is. And it's like, now that I'm older and I can identify, you know, who is wanting these desires, that was ego. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel talented. But I wanted everyone else to tell me these things. And that was what success would look like for me at the time. And so now it's a completely different vision, and it's because I can identify myself, my higher self. So that's step number 1. Identify ego and self. Yep. Step number 2 is to learn yourself and lean into what feels natural. You know, so like you just said, even before you were a teacher, you were teaching. You know, that is something that is 1,000% connected to your purpose, if that's the case, because it's what's natural to you. There is this term in, you know, Eastern philosophy called Wu Wei, which is, you know, to take I'm loosely translating, but to take the path of least resistance. And I love that. And I live my life by that because I'm already equipped with everything that I need to carry out what God sent me here to do. If that doesn't mean, you know, be lazy or not try or anything like that when there's resistance, but like to understand when resistance is a sign of like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. That's why I'm not making it happen for you. Pivot in this direction so you could get back on purpose. So, just being able to learn yourself and lean into that is step number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 3.
Number three.
Number 3 is the doing, right? So creating the plan for execution, right? And you can only create an effective and sustainable plan for execution after you know yourself, right? And being able to having that knowing of yourself, you can then create systems and strategies and plans and routines and stuff for when you get off track, when you're in a season where like, I'm not doing my routine, but I'm still on purpose because I know myself and I know what I need to provide myself to maybe not, hit it out of the park, but to still chug along until we get into the season where I could really like sprint through this. So yeah, creating that knowing and that relationship with yourself so that, when you start to get off track, like, all right, Vic, how can we get back to it? How can we ground ourselves back in why we're here, why we were sent here, and what we're here to do, and who we're here to serve with that. So, yeah.
And action.
So my history with the sound bowl is honestly just using it, wanting to practice meditation more, not being able to quiet my mind enough to feel like I'm doing it right, and just realizing this works for me. Like I can really engulf myself in the sound and the experience and the presentness when I use my sound bowl to meditate, because I have something to focus on. I have something to, flow with versus just being in silence. It's really hard for me to just sit. So that's my experience with it. I've also had really, with this one specifically, really powerful breakthroughs, emotional breakthroughs where like, I'm kind of someone that tends to build up emotion. I don't really show it too much or display it or let people in very often. And, I had an experience where I had, had somebody playing the sound bowl and, I just started and speaking, beautiful words into me. And I just had a breakdown, like such a release that was so needed. And, ever since then, I've really just really appreciated sound bowls because like I might not even know the full capacity of what it's doing to me on a cellular level, but I know it's doing something because the way that it just like released something that like, nothing. It's so hard to let that wall down sometimes, but I was able to through the frequencies that the sound bowls share. So, yeah.
That's dope. With that being said, let me be quiet and then do your thing whenever you're ready.
All righty. All right, disclaimer, I'm going to read something from my journal as I play the sound bowl. My handwriting is very, very difficult for even me to read, so sometimes I get tripped up. But thank you in advance. Everything is everything. When the question, what is love, is asked, one should look to nature for the answers. She gives without asking for anything back in return, except that you honor her. She is beautifully connected to all things. She puts herself first and makes her growth the priority. She prioritizes her growth so that she can feed and care for the rest of the world. Everything is everything.
That was dope. Have you done this in public? Have you done this in public before, or like?
No, but I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's what's
Yeah.
up. This is the baby step.
This is a baby. This is yeah, no, this is huge because I will do this where I speak while I do my sound bowl with myself.
Okay.
You know, and sometimes I'll record myself, but I've never recorded myself speaking and, you know, using the sound bowl because, yeah.
Until now.
Until now.
All right.
So a first for me, a first for you.
Exactly. Sheen did an ohm because
Oh, I love when he
Yeah.
does that. He has such a powerful voice.
he does, and it was almost like I don't want to say a breakthrough, like I'm Oprah or something like that. But it was like the conversation was going well. We may have been 10 minutes into the conversation, and I was like, yeah, do like a little demonstration or take us through something. I forget what I said, and he was comfortable the whole time, but when he demonstrated the ohm, you could tell he like I don't know, he settled and took us through because it was supposed to just be an ohm, but he wound up saying like a prayer and this that. And the other. It was like a beautiful moment. I guess is what I'm saying. It was like a
Man.
beautiful moment after he owned. I could feel it too because I was like supposed to say something after, but I was like I don't want to say nothing because I feel like something's happening. And right, the ohm was powerful. And
Yeah.
it kind of reminded me of, you know, like the sound, the frequencies and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's all I was saying. Last but not least, Lady Vic, again, thanks for being here. Appreciate you, this collaboration. I feel like it's going to be epic, right? Can you leave the people, the viewers, the listeners, with a message? Say something to them.
I sure can. So again, I'm referring to my journal, my handy dandy journal. And this is just some words I needed to release September 24th, 2022. Okay. To be human is to feel the anger, the love, sadness, impatience, etc. It is okay to do all of those things. Wait, I gotta start that over again because that don't make no sense. All right. To be human is to feel the anger, the love, the sadness, the impatience, etc. It is okay to feel all of those things. That's why we're here. That is the balancing act, the playground and the classroom. Have your fun, but stay on track of your purpose. If that is to teach love, immerse yourself in all of those elements that make you feel love. Sex, listening, intimacy, empathy, thoughtfulness, nurturing, protection, support, warmth, inclusion, consideration. Master these things and let yourself play.
Ashe.
Ashe. Amen.
That was dope.